Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right. Mr. Harris.
I've been pretty quiet at the county. Right now, we're in the middle of contract negotiations with all of the different unions, so we're trying to get that all taken care of. We are looking for a new veterinarian at the animal control, if anyone knows a doctor that needs a job. One of, like, a student right at college or something, being started. We got for either that, the last one just resigned last week. So, other than that, that's about it from us. You guys have anything?
I don't have any questions for you.
Yeah, thank you.
But thanks for being here. Mr. Andrus.
Yes, sir. You kind of talked to me before, Wes, about hours worked. You want us to just log that to the end of the month, right?
Tish, where, are you wanting the hours sent to you, or how are we?
We'll discuss that at 6 o'clock.
Okay, so we're gonna be discussing that here shortly,
Okay,
so.
perfect, all right.
Alright, perfect.
I have three of my guys in officer, pre-officer class and instructor class. We have three, new guys that just passed the physical part of their, new guys coming in, passed the physical part, we're waiting on their written, but we think they passed. So hopefully we'll have three new firefighters here shortly. Our JAWS testing and services coming up on the 24th, so that'll be done this year. We're waiting, pump testing is supposed to be next month. I was kind of waiting to make sure our budget passed, so I'm assuming our budget is good, right? Okay, so we'll schedule the rest of that stuff that's coming up next month. Burn permits are issued through the fire chief, that's what the DNR and the state law is, it's supposed to come to us. There's been a lot of burn that's been going on, it hasn't been permitted. We've had several complaints from locals about burns. I can't protect people if they don't get a permit. Anything bigger than a fire ring is supposed to have a burn permit, so I just wanna make sure that we get that out in minutes, that if you're gonna burn, make sure you get a permit.
That's up on the webpage, right?
It is.
Okay, I'll try to put it on the front page.
Okay, thank you. Yep, it's on the burn permit as well as on our page as well, so yep. Obviously, I only got 2 weeks left, in 2 weeks when I'm done. My credit card, do you want me to just leave it with Scott? What would you like me to do with my credit card?
Is your name on it, or is
It
it
is.
just saying, your name is on it?
Yep.
Give it to Gina, we'll cancel, we'll get you one.
Okay, I'll turn it into Gina my last day then. The other thing I kind of want to discuss is, we still have to work on a path to replacing, engine 6. It's 26 years old. Last time when we saved for 3 years, and it takes 2 years to get a truck, so we'll be 31 years old by the time we're done. If we started now, right? So I just want to make sure you guys understand that truck, we have an 85 pickup, we have a tender that's a 2000, nothing's getting newer. You guys got to figure out a path to start replacing equipment.
What was the truck, the first one you mentioned, I'm
Yeah,
sorry?
that's a 99, it's 26 years old right now. So it's kind of,
Which
you got,
truck is it?
engine 6, I apologize. You have to think of it kind of like a water heater, right? It's full of water the whole time. That truck has black pipe in it, it doesn't have stainless pipe, and the pump sits full of water the whole time. The reason that we have issues in that, every time we do maintenance on it every year, and I try and keep everything as good as possible. Obviously, we wash and wax them, keep them clean, and we do the maintenance on them. But like your water heater, after 30 years full of water, when the tank rusts out, it's pretty much done. So that's kind of where we're going with this truck. Like I said, I know that the budget's tight, but I think you just guys gotta think about a path to replacing equipment as we go here, so.
Is that considered our frontline engine?
That is the backup engine.
That's the backup engine,
Yep.
okay,
The
alright.
frontline engine is a 2006, so it's not brand new either, right? We don't have any new equipment over there, so, just know that it's, everything in there. That's the reason that we separated those two engines apart, is because we obviously replaced one, and then the 2006 was going to your backup mower, right? Just know that that truck is gonna fail at some point, and you're gonna have to start planning on something, so. That's it for me, unless there's any questions.
I
All
don't
right,
have any.
thank you guys for everything you've done for me over the years. I'm excited about retirement, and I'm sure Scott's gonna do an excellent job, so.
Thank you, Pat,
We really appreciate it. Anyone else have anything else for Pat?
Pat, I'm going to, be discussing this with the board, but, I'm gonna be meeting up with you guys, going over this equipment. I wanna come in, I wanna look everything over, take a bunch of documentation, what we're dealing with. As I've discussed in the past, I'm familiar with this era and everything that's going on with them, so I wanna, make sure I'm educated in every angle. And then that way, when I'm up here, we can all be talking the same language.
I would love to go over with you. I'll show you all the spots I've covered, the holes in the truck that covered
Sure.
with diamond plate and all
Right,
the
right.
Band-Aids I've done to it,
So
so.
these are all things that we can be transparent that,
Absolutely.
you just,
I'd love
It's
you
a lot
guys,
better,
I'd love
so.
for all of you guys to come to that station. I'd love to show you all, so.
Let me know.
well, and
Let me know when it is.
Perfect.
like I said, it gives us a better understanding, and that way we can ask questions, that way we
Sure.
can look at options for our
Absolutely.
future. So,
I think that's great, because then you guys can kind of plan ahead for the future. I think that's awesome.
I just wanna let you know that I'm going to be.
Perfect. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else have anything for Pat? All right, Ron?
I didn't have that much, I gotta settle with the county, that's coming up real soon here. I renewed a couple CDs that rolled over in March, in February, I kinda have a CD come due every month, basically. And as long as that money's sitting there, we're gonna try to get at least 4% on it. Second thing is, I'm looking at taking possibly a government accounting class. And also, what I wanted to share, I know that, we've had a lot of calls about the taxes. And so in your handout on, what is it, page 4? There's a tax disbursement sheet there. Shows the total amount, the total roll that we were supposed to collect is 4.5 million over the 2 summer and winter seasons. And then a breakout percentage-wise where the money goes. Okay, I know people are up in arms and they're worried about these raises and so forth, but if you look down at the bottom of the township area, the actual township keeps 2.9% of that, that's it. The rest is going to millages and assessments, schools, counties, you name it. So you can actually see who gets the most, the schools get 51%, and then a lot of the millages, if you go up through the Saginaw millages. Now, that doesn't mean we don't benefit from some of the other. Trash collection's 4.5, but we don't keep that, that goes right out, goes back in and goes back out. 4.5% for the ambulance, we chose to raise that from 100 per person to, or household to 200. And then the roads, whether you wanted the roads or not, we got it. Okay, obviously the county voted for that, and that's about 4.5. But what actually stays with the township for managing the township is 2.9% from taxes. Now, we get money from the state, so it's not like this is what we live off of. But, I'm just saying, when people are complaining about taxes, we're not raising them. When you vote for millages, that's what's raising them. And granted, we want some of those. I voted for the ambulance, right? I mean, there's services we want. If you want a new fire truck, it's gonna cost money. And we gotta decide what you want, what you don't want. Unfortunately, the stuff that comes in from, the county, the city has a lot bigger population. I'm sure there's a lot of things in that area that you're like, I didn't vote for that. But this way, there's transparency on where the money goes.
Thank you, Ron. Do you have anything else for us tonight? All right, pretty good. Tish?
I do. So I know next meeting, our April 14th meeting will be at 6:45. We moved that meeting up, our board meeting, because we have to accommodate the, election commission meeting that has to happen. So instead of it being the third Monday of the month, it'll be the second Monday, so April 14th at 6:45 for the election commission meeting, and then 7 o'clock will be the board meeting. So I just wanna remind everybody that the date has changed. We will be changing our payroll pay schedule for the end of the month, so we can get the board packets up on the webpage sooner. So with the new fiscal year, we're gonna be changing things around. Wes is gonna be handling the agendas and the board packets going forward. So, he will be responsible for getting that information up on the webpage and getting that put together and everything like that. And then the minutes are only gonna contain resolutions and motions. It's not meant to carry verbatim everybody's thoughts, and, you know, as I've been doing it, talking with other area clerks, they're doing it differently. And we're not meant to put as much into our minutes, so they will be condensed after going forward. We also have been going through a lot of training to get the webpage rollout happening. We've got that done. We've got a few bugs we gotta fix, a few design issues that we gotta make some corrections on, and then we'll look forward to setting a new rollout date for the new webpage. And on the webpage, we'll have the calendar for the hall, and our board meetings will be up there. It looks really sharp, but there's a few more things, but then the office staff will hopefully be taking on some of those roles to get some of the information up on the webpage. Let's see here. I know we've had some issues in the past with getting all the resolutions and checks to me in time, because I got a full-time job, so I can't get them the last minute, so I'm going to make sure that everything has to be into me by Thursday before the meetings, so that I have time to process payroll and I have time to process resolutions, because it takes a little bit to get all that stuff put together and in a consistent format. So if it's not to be by the Thursday before the meetings, I can't guarantee there'll be a check. Resolutions, those can happen, but if they can be earlier, that would be appreciated. With taking, with the transition from the new board coming on and the old board getting phased off of our John Hancock, our retirement, things got a little messed up, and we're going to be, Kirk has been working so many hours to clean that up. I can't even tell you how many hours he's worked, but your check may be a little different, because we had to, can you explain it better than I can?
Yeah, so there's, the formula for what goes into the pension fund is pretty specific, and what was happening is there was, Wes, you're a pretty good example. You probably notice your check is quite a bit more, because there's, the numbers are all calculated on a quarterly basis, and so your salary has a 1/3 portion of a quarterly amount deducted for both a minimum mandatory voluntary payment and a voluntary payment. So you can put up to 10% of your check into the pension fund. So what was happening is some people had the quarterly payment happening every month, and some people had and some people that didn't want a minimum, just wanted to use the minimum deduction, were getting a 10% deduction. So based upon what, and I'm assuming, based on what I think I found in the office, Mark, Joe, and Ron wanted the bare minimum deducted. So you're basically just doing the employee mandatory minimum. So then all the numbers will get adjusted based on that. And then this was, so even like Kevin's stuff was wrong. So I sent all the numbers to Johnny Hancock. They're going to give me, and they can't, if someone was overpaid inside Johnny Hancock, they can't legally do that. There's only so much, they have to abide by the contractual obligations. So they're going to figure out what all the adjustments are, and then that money will either come back to us as a refund, or we will owe additional money based upon certain situations. But based on what I found, most of the situation is we were just over deducted, or basically the other big thing that happened is the employer portion, what Maple Grove paid was too high. So the bulk of it probably will just translate to a refund to either you as an employee or the township. But yeah, I think I got all the numbers now, but certainly need to be reviewed.
So that's been happening. And then he's been also looking at all the other various different ways we pay things, so there will be some changes going forward with all that stuff, just to make sure that we're staying within the budget. If we go over that line item budget, we'll need a budget amendment to make sure we aren't going over, so that, what we approve is what we're paying, and we're not going over. Again, there will be an election here on May sixth for Montrose residents only, so there's only 79 people. If anyone is interested, and they are in Montrose Township, they can call the office if they want to get on the permit ballot list, and then we can mail a ballot out. They should be out by the end of next week, from what I understand. I'm still waiting on the ballots and the programming to be completed. And, Ron, you mentioned you were gonna go to some training for, what did you just say?
Government
Government accounting. We may need to look in some phishing and scam. That concerns me that we were close to being scammed. And we have processes in place about how bills are paid and stuff like that, and we could have been on the hook really quick. So, had I not responded back to an email, I'm alarmed that.
Well, that's why I sent it through Maple Grove.
Right, but you must have been communicating with that person back and forth.
Well, I communicated telling them, send it to my Maple Grove,
Right.
because it said Tish Shearers.
Right, and
Yeah,
it said
didn't
Tish,
see the email.
I get it looked like me.
Yeah, it did, though, I didn't see the email, I should have opened it up, you could open up and find it, I found it later.
But yeah, had I not, because I was at work, so had I not saw it, that money was gone. So I think we should probably look at possibly getting some security
Well,
training.
I think, the big thing is, what kind of caught me was, you don't send stuff to my personal email.
Right, there were a lot of red flags on that
Yeah.
scam, but
Yep.
it would be nice if, I mean, we should never be wire transferring any money, because nothing's urgent.
Yep.
We always wait on the month, so. I think that's all I got.
Do you want to discuss the sick time policy?
Oh, yeah, I do have that. So in the board packet, and again, I thought it was gonna be printed in color, so it's not, but there were changes that were proposed, to the sick leave policy that were in there, but because they're not color coded, it looks like they're all black, but they're really in a light gray if you look at them.
Gotcha, I can see that, you can tell the difference, yeah.
Okay, so on section 2, it says salaried, and I put non-exempt employees shall accrue 1 hour of paid sick time for every 30 hours worked. I don't know how else to make that, because per the law, we have employees that are non-salaried that are entitled to this, the STA, which is Earned Sick Time Act. So, and I think we need to put in this policy that they must track their hours and submit the number of hours worked per week. These hours must be reported to the clerk by the end of each month, and failure to report the hours may be subject to discipline and include up to termination of employment. If I don't have the hours, I can't accrue their time, and then we're held by law
Yep.
to do it. So they have to submit something, and since we pay monthly, I think they should have to do it monthly. And then we hold their check until they do it. I don't know
Now,
how else to get them to do it.
I can't see any other way as well, so.
There's, again, it will be deputy clerk and deputy treasurer and the hall,
Chief and assistant
I
chiefs?
think the fire chief gets it,
Assistant chiefs?
and assistant chiefs get it.
Okay.
And so there are people that are salary that have to hand in some sort of hours to me. Justin doesn't count because he is a contractor, so he
But
doesn't count.
our inspectors,
Inspectors, yep,
all
Yep.
three,
the zoning administrator, the building administrator, and,
ordinance
ordinance
officer.
officer all count. Now, when I did inquire with the lawyer, he did say that, it doesn't matter how many employees, as long as you have employees, even if they're not entitled to the ESTA, they still count as our role, so 10, we're way over that.
We definitely are.
We definitely have, so we,
Election workers, and they're not gonna accrue much, but they are.
right,
So-
like like the office staff, they only work, what, 5 hours a week, so they're not gonna accrue a ton, but they do get to accrue. But they're easy to track.
Yes.
So in the sick time usage, I put, employees will be paid out for the accrual, but unused sick time, up to 72 hours. So even though they won't accrue a lot, they can accrue up to 72 hours and it can keep rolling. I personally think that that should be paid, even though it says will not be paid. I think it should be paid, it's not much, but it's also, it leaves them from leaving us in a bind when they're gonna be leaving.
Now, are you thinking like monthly, paid
No.
paid out at the end of the year?
When they're, sever their appointment.
Okay,
We
when they,
can't
okay,
make them pay it out at a year, you can't make them, it's when they leave.
gotcha.
If they have a bank, they can pay it out, or they can call in sick for 3 days before they leave. And
Yeah.
that doesn't help anybody.
I agree.
Number 5, I put in there, employees hired after February 21st, which is the day that that was enacted, are required to wait 120 days before beginning their employment, after beginning their employment, to use the accrued sick time. So that's basically a probationary period for us. And that also stops then election workers, because they will have gone over 120 days, they won't accrue. An employee without continuous employment who is rehired for 2 months instead of the 6 of separation will have their sick bank reinstated to the level it was prior to their separation. Any employee separated from the township employment for 2 or more months will have their sick bank reset to 0. So that again counts for the election workers, so that they work one election, it's gonna be over 2 months before the next election, so it'll be set to 0. Is why I put that in there.
Okay.
Under section D, as soon as practical, is, if the, under number 2, if the need for sick time is not foreseeable, the employees must provide notice as soon as practical. And then, all sick time requests must be emailed to the office manager and clerk for tracking purposes, so if they use nowhere, I have to know. So, just like submitting their hours, they have to also submit the ones they use. And those were my proposed changes to that policy.
So, let's go back to the tracking, and, I'm gonna pick on Pat, I guess, with
Your
Scott. Yeah. The salary workers, do you want them to submit the hours to the clerk by the end of each month or prior to the meeting?
Since we're gonna pay out on a monthly basis, we're gonna pay it by the end of the month,
Okay, end of the
End of
month,
each
perfect.
month.
End of each, yep, perfect. And you want that emailed to you
and Gina,
and Gina, okay,
because she's the office manager, so she can then, if there's coverage issues or whatever, she just lets somebody know that's her role.
perfect. I'll reach back out to everyone on that list, because I told them, like, we don't know exactly what we're doing yet, just start keeping track of your hours. So I'll reach back out to everyone on that list that.
Now, if they fall below, because there has to be a dollar value assigned to each one of these hours.
Yep.
If they fall below, if somebody works a ton of hours and they then get a payout, I don't know what rate you're paying them out at. Because it has to be above minimum wage.
Okay. I guess that's the big question. And I have not got a clear answer. I've called MTH twice to see if they had anything for us, and they don't.
Anyone else? Thoughts?
Good. Something you gotta do.
Where is this gonna come out of? Are we gonna have to amend the budget once we figure that out?
I don't know.
Okay.
An idea of what we got and go from there.
Yep.
Make it work.
So I will work on those 2 questions. What rate are we paying out salaried employees? And then how do we handle this with the budget? You guys have any other questions on?
On that, we covered what we want to get there.
Yep.
I have a question for Kurt. On that, you were explaining on that pension deal, how far back has that been, or you made it sound like there's some money involved in this? How far back are you?
I only went back to this fiscal year.
You know what?
I only looked at this fiscal year.
So when you mentioned the three of us, that's only 4 months, I don't know how that, and then you said Kevin, so,
Well, Kevin's in this fiscal year.
Huh?
Kevin's in this fiscal year.
no, I know that, but I mean, how far back has that been going on, and we don't know that?
Well, he's only analyzed this past year, so April first
So
through
will we
March
be
30th.
going behind that then to see if that's right?
I wasn't planning on it.
All right. Thanks.
I guess if there's no other discussion, we need a resolution on this. We gotta have this in place today, the sick leave time.
Okay.
And it would be resolution 2025-03-01.
I would think it would only make sense that a salaried employee, whatever their salary breaks down to over 40 hour each day, would divide into that, would it not?
Well, we have to pay them, we can't pay out any less than minimum wage.
You think salary would fall?
Three to-
I don't know. I don't know. So, what's that?
Why are salary tracking hours?
Because we have to, even if they're a salaried employee, we still have to pay 1 hour of sick time for every 30 hours that they work. Yep, even if they're salaried.
So our salaried employees working less than 40 hours a week.
I don't think we have anyone here that does work 40 hours a week, yeah.
Gotcha.
Alright, so we have a resolution for the sick time policy.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2025-0301 to approve the proposed sick time policy as presented in the board packet.
Support.
Alright, so we have motion support, any other questions or discussion? Alright, all those in favor of accepting that, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, motion passes. Alright, do you have anything else, Tish?
I'm all set.
Okay. Mark?
Nothing tonight. Thanks.
Joe?
One thing that I want to discuss, our last meeting, and actually during our budget, actually it had been discussed, I just want to bring this to the board to be aware of. We had a conversation about, we're gonna start getting busy with this hall, renting it out. And there was some gray area on how we go about our procedures. So I've reached out, I've talked to, John, who takes care of that side of it. He gave me a rundown of the way we operate at this particular time. And, Wes, when you shot us this email here, I'm gonna get back with him
Okay.
again. And I'm gonna go over this and then see if he has things to add that he's also doing.
Yep.
And I know he has a system with the office, as far as if they get their refund back or not. So that's already in place, it seems to be working well. I just wanna bring back to the board what he actually does for his role.
Okay,
So everybody understands that, that seemed to be in question
and then we'll take a look at that and see if there's anything that we'd like to add,
Right,
or if there's anything that's unnecessary as well.
right. So next meeting, we'll report back with this.
Perfect.
To you guys, and that is all I have.
Okay. Alright, thanks, Joe. A few things, the last 2 months, we've discussed this performance MDOT resolution, we got some more clarity on that. If our township doesn't perform any work within the MDOT right away, then we can disregard this. We don't have a DPW, so we can disregard that resolution. Setting the dates for the hall renovation, we have that blacked out in our calendar in the office, so we're looking at starting, the first week of January, so that'd be January 5th.
What was the first part of that?
the MDOT.
No.
Okay,
The whole thing?
we're setting the dates for the hall renovation, or the bathrooms renovation.
Thank you.
Yep. And, so the first day that we're gonna have trades in here would be January 5th. And, we're talking about giving it 5 weeks. They're confident they can do it in 4, but, the last day, we have a rental on the 14th of February. So, nothing between January 5th and February 13th can be booked in here. And, we were gonna talk to the folks that use this area, the office staff was, and let them know what those dates are as well. And with that being said, we're talking about the bathrooms. I met with a group, E&L group, about taking a look at the bathrooms, making sure we can keep our occupancy at 300 and fit in ADA compliance. So the only way of doing that, so the men's room is actually larger than the women's room. So the only way of doing that is actually flip-flopping the bathrooms. We put the women's room in here. There's plenty of room for the 3 stalls. One of them is an ADA stall, and then the men's room would be in here, which we have an ADA stall and 2 urinals in here. So I just before I moved ahead with that, I want to have that conversation with everyone on the board, see what their thoughts were. Also, there's a small area right here where we could have a mirror and a desk for women to freshen up, do their makeup, if we're already having weddings here. Something I didn't even think about, the lady that I met with thought that'd be a good idea, that she sees that in halls on a regular basis. So what do you guys think about, I never liked the idea because, there's a lot of people that have been coming here for 40 years and it's been the same way, but I also don't want to bring occupancy down less than 300. And obviously we have to be ADA compliant.
Yeah, if it was Westwood, she or this company apparently must know what they're doing, they wouldn't be able to tell you, give you these numbers and still stay compliant, so I don't know what other than getting into
Dropping the,
more work.
dropping down.
Changing back here, we're talking, taking that storage out.
Yeah, and we're gonna, that was one of the ideas, is taking the storage out. Removing storage is, I hate doing that as well. We're gonna be adding to our costs if we're knocking down walls and having to patch more floors and things like that, so unless anyone has any objections, I'm gonna move ahead with working on those plans for the bathrooms. And then we had some questions about the bathrooms as well. So I basically, Kirk started the conversation with William Walter on the plumbing, and they're gonna come back out and take a look at switching the bathrooms around. So our initial quote was $33,500. Sounds like a lot of money, I totally agree, but there's also a lot of work that goes into it. So we're replacing, some of the drains that we have to cut concrete out, we have to demo the water closets, and all the plumbing runs into the block, so we have to demo that out. So there's a lot of demo that goes along, and on top of then after that, Greg Bishop would come in, patch up all the work that William Walter does. And so basically between those two numbers, you're looking at 40,000. And then we have to work on floors and sinks and mirrors and hand dryers and everything else that goes along with it. So I'm trying to cut costs at every avenue we can, but the 100,000 I think is right where we're gonna be. I'm hoping to get in for like 90, but I know once we get in the project, there's gonna be a lot of things that stack on top of it. So, and then we have not dug into this room yet. On you guys' way out, you can see our furnace dumps into a floor drain, and so does the ice maker. So that spills out onto the floor, it's loosening up the tiles, kind of getting some mold growing around the bottom trim. So that's why I thought we should address that right now. Mark was going to take a look at this cabinet that we talked about in here that is in poor shape, and just seeing if we can patch that for now, instead of replacing all the cabinets in our kitchen area. We think we can patch that and make that work without having to gut out the whole kitchen area. So, I don't really have final numbers, until I can meet back with Will and Walter and have them take a look at that room, take a look at kind of changing the design, with flip-flopping the bathrooms, but I'll have more information in next month's meeting, hopefully a more concrete number where we're gonna come in at. One thing that we don't have to do is we, last year did the ceiling tiles, the grid, the ceiling tiles, and the LED lighting, so that's one thing, we don't have to touch in either one of the bathrooms. So, any other questions on? Alright, I have a motion, resolution in the, board packet for the grant that I'm writing. It's a resolution for, submission of application to DNR Recreation Passport Grant. So, essentially it just authorizes, the submission of this application to Michigan DNR, for the Passport Grant Program for development of Maple Grove Township Park. Alright, and what was that resolution?
The number's gonna be 2025-03-02.
So I make a motion to accept the resolution as posted in our board packet.
I'll support.
All right. We have motion and support. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor of accepting this motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Last week we conducted our border review for 2 different days, and we had 13 residents come in and conversations about our taxes. And first border review meeting that I attended, and it's kind of eye-opening. Have a lot of good discussion with residents about our assessor does a really nice job in our township, so we definitely appreciate her. And then the only other thing I want to talk to you, the board about is special use permit. So right now we have a $1,000 fee for a special use permit. And I think at one of the previous meetings, Kurt mentioned that we could possibly return the $450 for a planning commission meeting if it doesn't require a special meeting for the planning commission. I did email Kirk and we discussed, he did say some special uses, however, would require us to hire various engineers to provide oversight / inspections that might cost the township money. So I think a provision that a refund up to $450 for unused fees could be enacted to allow us to leverage the funds in the event that we need to obtain outside expertise. And then he went on to say this must be set by the board. So just wanted to get everyone's thoughts on that. I personally think if they don't need a special meeting and there's no other insight or inspections or anything else that we need to spend township money on, then I think we should refund that $450 after the special use permit is either approved or denied.
Well, $1,000, Wes is gonna go far. So you're talking about refunding the money if they hold it at a regular meeting, is that correct?
Yeah, just the $450.
Where's the $550 for? Balance, if
that-
you're charging $1,000.
Kurt, can you help me out? What would be the $550 that would be remaining?
Well, 450 to 550 is planning commission for the meeting.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. I don't know, just lots of things, all the work to investigate, the office administration to handle it.
Yeah,
There's just a lot of time that goes into those things.
Yep, and looking at that, any kind of project, $550 ain't gonna buy anything. As compared to having a fee like that, other than whatever you wanna base it on, have that person supply it. I don't know why the township would wanna spend $2,000 to hire an engineering company to try to figure out what they're doing. If the planning commission doesn't like or doesn't have the information from that person, let them get legitimate information to us. I don't think that $550 is gonna pay for nothing. Any kind of expertise to, you know, to give the planning commission insight into that, let them bring it to us at their cost.
Isn't
That's
that
what you've
also
been doing.
publishing, isn't that always
But-
publishing notices too?
Yeah, there's a lot of little stuff like that, yep.
We have to send letters to neighbors, things like that as well.
But
I
some
mean,
of that
it's
Gary's
helping
talked
fund
about
your zoning administrator position.
engineering
I mean,
costs or
that's
stuff
what-
like that. the township
Engineering
costs,
costs, that's on.
That ain't gonna cover it, that's my point, no. That's what I don't
cover that.
No, that's what I'm saying, that should be supplied to us.
It is.
Well,
Well, but there are some times that the township wants to validate different things, like a good example would be, you know, if a wind, project was coming in, we would want to establish what levels of noise are allowed or happening at a current site, you know, that would be us doing that, that's not them, but you're correct, there's requirements that they have to provide in the special use permit as far as like engineering schematics and things, and they already have to provide that. That would be like if there's things above and beyond that we have to pay for, but yeah, it's likely that, the township would be using some costs on that, which is why $1,000 was established originally. But like in the case of the special use permit we have right now, it's really pretty cut and dry, there's not a lot going on, so the question here is just, do you want to refund that money back to the resident in the event that it's not used?
I personally would like to do that. I guess I would like, your opinion too, Kurt. You know, being that you're gonna be the one kind of dealing with the residents, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty stiff thing to pay, you know,
Yeah.
if you're doing it, and, I don't know, I guess to me it comes back to, well, it's their money, right, so if we're not using it, the law, the rule is you're not supposed to make money off of your inspector, but theoretically, you're paying for those positions, so, yeah, I don't know, I think it would be a nice thing to do, but you're not making money either way, you know what I mean, so.
And another thing is too, is it, it also kind of eliminates a lot of people that would call for if you're gonna pay the $450 either way, then, you know, that kind of eliminates us having to pull our planning commission together on the off months, because our planning commission meets every other month.
I think the $1,000 is good, cause it just keeps people from just run of the mill throwing out that request, so you have to put some skin in the game, but if in the event that the township doesn't incur that much cost, then, or if they're willing to wait for the next planning commission meeting, then maybe that's an advantage to them, so.
Yep. Okay.
Wes, one question I would have on the special use permit, does the township, there's no fee annually, once you get a special use permit, that's it for a lifetime,
Yes,
we get no increase in tax revenue,
There's no fee.
there's nothing.
I had to pay a fee.
We absolutely get
Well,
years
nothing
ago.
yeah, I know, I don't
out of
think
these businesses that are profiting in Maple Grove as a business, but yet Ballman's pays us, for being in this township, a business commercial tax, but, any special use permit actually pays nothing, we profit nothing from that.
well, other than potentially an increased tax assessment. The tax use assessment would go up, but that's about it.
And that could change at any point, Kirk and I, have been talking, Mark and I, as a planning commission member, have been talking, about doing reviews on special use permits, because 20 years ago, that's the way they used to be done. I don't know how often they were reviewed, but I know they were reviewed, there was I think $30 a year.
35, when I got mine, it was $35, and it was supposed to have been reviewed each year, and that was gonna be my fee.
Okay,
And that, talking with some of the old members, that kinda fell through the crack, and nobody enforced it. That was back in the 89 or 90, it was $35 then.
so I think there's a lot of conversation going on, you know, these decisions won't be made overnight, but. To answer your question.
You do that.
All right. All right, that is all I have, so we can move to,
So what was the resolution on that?
do we have to do a resolution
No, I'm
to,
saying, what is the outcome of
What-
that?
that
You're
we,
returning the fee or you're not?
that we're returning the $450 fee?
I think we need to do at least a motion,
We have to do a motion, okay.
just cause then
If it's
you're
not
changing.
used or it's not
Yep.
needed,
Fees.
whatever, yeah.
So I guess the motion would be to return the $450 planning commission meeting, I don't know the best way to word this, planning commission meeting,
Special use application.
yep, special use application money. In the event of not needing to use it through the special use process.
You label that 0303?
It's not a resolution.
Just a moment. Yep.
Okay.
So any special use permit that is, comes in front of the planning, if it's denied, they get the refund of $450.
So if they don't call a special meeting, if they don't need a special meeting, then, and that money isn't used for attorneys or engineering or anything like that, then we will return that $450.
If they do not get the permit.
Correct. No, if in general. So if they're approved or denied, they'll get that $450 back. Yep.
If it's not used.
If it's
Any
not used.
unused funds.
Yep. Unused funds, that's the best way to put it. Up to $450. Alright, sorry Tish, there's a lot of words going around there. Alright, so we have a motion, do we have support?
Support.
Alright, a motion support. Any other questions or discussion on that? Alright, all those in favor of accepting this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Alright, motion passes. Thank you, Tish. That's all I had, so we can move to pay bills.
So in the board packet is there's two different, sorry, one second here. In the board packet, there's two different, reports there for one is for salaries and one is for all the other checks that are going out, from check numbers. Sorry, bear with me. 21485 through 21529. And in the board packet, we missed a few, so, the new amount to be approved is sorry, one second. $54,874.90.
And I know this looks a little bit different than the way, and I actually really like this. So obviously this page right here is just all of our employees, and then this page is outside contractors and any other bills.
Yes, and I handed you out a new one today, it had the extra 4 or 5 on there at the
Oh,
bottom.
yeah, yep.
And those will be up on the webpage by tomorrow, so everybody can see that what the numbers are and everything like that, but yes. The new layout, Kirk has, like I said, been working on different things and cleaning some stuff up, so, probably that new layout will be going forward.
Yeah, looks great.
I'll make a motion to approve those as presented.
I support that motion. Any other questions on that? All those in favor of paying the bills as presented signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Alright, motion pass. Alright, let's open the floor up to public comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, where do we stand as far as what can we get done with the roads?
So I've been working with the road commission, kind of making a 5-year plan. So this year, we are gonna do 11 miles of chip and seal. We're gonna do the culvert at Bishop Road, south of Gary, right in the middle of the mile, that bridge that's out.
Yep.
And we're gonna start prepping for paving, Bishop Road, M57 to Volkmer. That that first mile. And then we're also gonna do, dust control on our gravel roads and grade those out.
Is Lincoln Road a county road, or is that Maple Grove's responsibility?
It is a county road, yeah, it's primary
So
road, yep.
they're the ones that take care of it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And I do have this construction plan, if you guys wanna come take a look at it after the meeting, you're more than welcome to come up, take a look, take a picture of it as well.
Stevie mentioned Lincoln Road. I talked to Dan Armertout last year about Lincoln Road, and he said Lincoln Road isn't even on their site to do anything. That's what he said.
Yeah,
You talked about the grading and dust control for county roads, are you splitting that with Shiawassee County again on Johnstone?
so we had that conversation, and, as of right now, no, they cannot get Shiawassee County to do anything. We are talking in 2029, re-graveling, Shiawassee County, and at that point, they're gonna talk to them about doing a split on that. But yeah, as of now, we do not receive any money for Shiawassee County for our gravel roads. Anyone else? One thing I forgot to mention, I apologize, I'm just looking at that, made me think of it. We did get, some, gravel, not gravel, but, diamond dust hauled into our diamonds. Ron Jackson did the truck in, Brian Jacobs, opened the park up, by plowing everything. And, we had a very small window of when there was no snow, but the ground was frozen, and we were able to get it dumped on the two big fields, so, yeah, Rodney Wendling is gonna be out grading that next couple weeks, and be all ready for the ball diamonds this year.
I got one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, so, real quick, I just wanna mention that, again, just thank you for getting, the retirement party up on the website, really do appreciate that, we wanna invite the board, if you guys would like to come to that as well, we'd love to see you there. It is open to the public, as it is posted, so we will be celebrating all of those that are retiring, that have over 160 years of service altogether combined, with the fire department, so it'll be held here in the hall on, April 13th from 2 to 5 p.m. So the public will come out and give thanks and share, positive stories of the fire department and everybody that's retiring. And it's just a great way to say thank you to those who have given so many years of service to this community.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Alright. Anyone else for public comment tonight? I make a motion to adjourn the meeting at